Hey guys, welcome to the Centre Bounce. Today we're talking about Clayton Oliver, the $699,800 midfielder from Melbourne. Stay tuned. Big J, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Always happy to talk about Clarry, the super pig himself, the legend, really, the one who carries that Melbourne midfield. He is a sight to behold, really, especially when it comes to his Supercoach scoring.
Oh, mate, you're always happy when Clarry pops out a 160 and your opposition in your league doesn't have him that week.
Oh, when you got him and especially when he's your captain, for example, he's up against juicy competition. You can see it coming from a mile away. Oh, it's a wet day. Oh, contested ball. Oh, you gotta go. Just put the V. He is such a great VC option. Honestly, it's very rare to have. If you see Melbourne early in the week, you just gotta put the VC on Clarry.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't already, guys, check out DR's video talking about Clarry as a captain option. It's bloody fantastic. Kind of him and Bontempelli, really good mix of guys who play early and one who plays late. You got to pick him. If he's in your team, you have to put him as your vice captain, basically, for most leagues.
And from ownership, looking at the stats early on, a lot of people do have him, and for good reason. I mean, he's coming off his best season of Supercoach scoring, and it was his third straight year averaging over 120. So he's really putting together a real, sizable body of excellent scoring and consistency. It makes sense why people are paying up, 700 grand just to have him in their starting team.
Yeah, it's one of those players where you're kind of like, he is really expensive, but if you miss out on the scoring and he goes big, it's kind of hard to get him in. At this price at 700K, you're really spending three trades, three good players who've made you money to actually bring in the player. So there's some cost reserve there, price gouging, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it definitely it definitely impacts the structure of your team. Especially if some people are really going balls to the wall and picking both him and Laird, really, really ambitious to start the year. That's a lot of money for two players. But, you are really locking in, essentially, someone who is not only going to be a top 8 midfielder, but likely to be a top 3 midfielder in the competition. He has such a massive ceiling, and he had 12 scores, over 120, 5 scores between 100 and 120, and he had a couple of scores in the 90s. He shows great consistency, and that's the reason why he hardly dropped in price during the course of the year. He only dropped around 50K from his starting price. Now, this year, though, given the higher magic number, it's likely that if he can't maintain that 127 average, that he'll drop a bit more. But some people are like, look, I'm going to have him anyway. I might as well kickstart things off and get those big scores early.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of those guys where I lost my train of thought. He's one of those guys where if he's got a bad, he has a bad week, he scores an 80. Okay, you kind of expect, 2 or 3 more games like that from some players. They might go on 80, they might go like a 110, and then it really drops their price. Whereas Clarry Oliver comes in, he might score an 81 week. Melbourne's midfield gets smashed somehow. Maybe he cops a tag, that kind of thing. The next game he pops out a 160, and the price drop you thought you were going to get in the next 3 weeks just kind of stops.
I know that happened to me last year. I was tossing up between bringing him in 1 week or waiting another week because I saw his break even was so high. But our good friend Shaq, he just still brought him in. He's like, he's going to beat his break even. Don't even worry about it. His break even was like 160 or something. And I thought, nah, I'll play the break even game. I'll play it smart. I'll wait for next week. And lo and behold, he beats his break even. You just can't bet against a guy like Clayton Oliver when it comes to his break even. You can't keep the man down. Yes, you might get tagged exactly as you say, but these are the top-notch midfielders, him, Laird, Took. It's very hard to keep guys of their caliber down for more than a couple of weeks in a row. They'll always find ways to restart that cash gen. And I think a lot of people early on in the year are realizing, look, I might as well have them in my team now and not have to worry about trying to bring him in later and trying to time when he's at his lowest price.
Yeah, there's something to be said about these players who can really only play one position. I know we've talked about Petrarca being versatile, Jordan Dawson being versatile, a couple of others where they might get moved around, whereas Oliver really is just a midfielder. He can't play
one
forward.
of the best.
Yeah, he's not a forward player, but yeah, he's crazy for the position that he is.
And he's going to get, realistically, you'd expect him to be even better moving forward, given now that, look, no disrespect to Jackson, he was a great secondary ruckman. But when you've got the likes now of Grundy in addition to Gawn, you've got two premier ruckmen of the competition. And this is a combination that many people have had as a set and forget as their ruck lines for many years in Supercoach. And now they're both playing for the same team. And so you'd expect that the service that he's going to get, him and his fellow midfielders, is only going to get even better. And his game is centered around contested possessions and tackling, which just nets a lot of points per play, per stoppage. And that's why you have such a high floor and consistent scoring out of him.
Yeah. So in 2022, he did have a high score of 178, which is, it's bloody huge for a player, with a low score of 68. So I think in that 68 game, he might have got tagged a little bit, which was his lowest game. But from a player who can put out big numbers, it just happens sometime. Melbourne's midfield is kind of having a bit of a shake-up. I know we mentioned it in the Petrarca video, but the likes of Brayshaw coming in, Lockie Hunter's coming in as well. So their midfield mix is kind of moving around a little bit, and maybe that affects his scoring a bit in 2023. What do you reckon?
I agree. And I'd say, the same way that Grundy can really be of a massive benefit with his tap work, probably one thing that Grundy can do as well, really well, as a highlight of his game, is the fact that he is a great extra midfielder that can, run the ball at ground level, can be involved in handball chains and kick the ball forward. So there will be times where he will be, able to take advantage of whatever space is present, take advantage of it and move the ball forward himself. He won't be feeding, for example, Clayton Oliver every single opportunity that he gets. He is a mature player. He is a star of the competition. He's not young and impressionable like a Jackson is, who could very well, in the pecking order at the club, definitely look up to a guy like Clayton Oliver and defer to him and pass the ball to him more often. A guy like, an alpha, I suppose, someone who owns a number one position like a Grundy might actually take it upon himself to do more with the ball moving forward. And that could also impact Clayton Oliver's scoring moving forward and having less possessions even.
Yeah, so what you're kind of saying is Gawn's more of a jump and tap to his players, whereas Grundy more of a grab the ball, try and break the pack, and then push it forward, right?
He definitely has a lot. He definitely has a lot more of that in his game than Jackson does. Jackson definitely a lot more slight, and using a lot of his athleticism.
You mean Grundy, not Jackson?
Oh no, Jackson is slighter. Is not as filled out as Grundy. Grundy has the physical capability to crash. Can absorb contact a lot better than Jackson can. Jackson is a lot more nimble, I think, and tries to use that light frame to really bound away from contests. But in terms of breaking out of tackles, for example, and moving the ball forward himself, definitely Grundy has that a lot more in spades compared to Jackson does.
Yeah. So I guess we'll kind of look at the cons a little bit of the pick. Obviously, Oliver can go massive. We're talking about kind of him only playing midfield. Yep, we want to lock in the good captain scores every week. The only real negative that we can find, well, there's two of them. We've spoken about the midfield mix changing a little bit and how that might affect his scoring, but also kind of the magic number and his really high price. If he comes out and scores 100, he's going to drop in price. If he comes out and scores a 110, he's going to drop in price. Even 3 weeks of like 110, 120, 110, he's going to drop 50, 60, 70K and might end up being a good upgrade target. Good first or second play you bring in round 6 to 9. What do you reckon?
100% agree with you, and especially when you listen to the reports that his preseason hasn't been going as great as he would have hoped, given that he had to get surgery on his thumb, that thumb that he injured late last year. It's still causing him some issues. So with that elevated magic number and his really high price, as you say, he seems to be a prime target to be one of those really early
Mm.
upgrades in and around round six when the upgrade season well and truly begins. He's someone that could end up dishing up a couple of just low 100s or maybe even a couple of 90s, and that price will plummet to a point where those who started him at around 700k, I think will have a really sour taste in their mouth when everybody else is bringing him in for like around 60 to $70,000 cheaper.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the question is, Joe, is he in your team at the moment? Are you considering playing him?
No, I think that was a bit of a spoiler there. No, he's not in my team at the moment. He's definitely one of my first upgrade targets. What about you?
Um, at the moment, he's in as M1, but it's just a wait and see for me. Got to wait and see what happens with his hand injury. If he's really not set for round one, he's a wait and upgrade target.
Perfect. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. This was our deep dive into this superstar that is Clayton Oliver.
Mhm.
Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we are pumping out the content every day, lots of videos. Let us know in the comments below which other players that you want us to review. We're more than happy to take your feedback and your recommendations on board. Anything else to say, Big J?
Remember, guys, join our Supercoach group. I'll put in the video description kind of our prize winning through there. You guys can win a jersey. You guys can win some AFL tickets or a voucher to the AFL store. Yeah, and just remember, guys, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you don't have to. Bye for now.